Imagine this. You have spent years planning the trip of a lifetime to the United States with your children, maybe dreaming of magical days at Disneyland, gazing in awe at the Grand Canyon, or standing beneath the towering Statue of Liberty. Perhaps your child has earned a coveted spot at an internationally acclaimed music camp, or your family is on the cusp of a business venture that could transform your future. All these dreams rest on one crucial step: securing a U.S. visa. Now picture being confronted with a new bureaucratic obstacle that threatens to upend everything. As of June 10th, 2025, the U.S. has announced a sweeping change in its visa policy that will impact thousands upon thousands of Chinese families, students, and business travelers. This is not just a minor tweak or an extra form. It is a fundamental shift that could reshape U.S. China relations, affect billions of dollars in economic activity, and alter the life trajectories of countless individuals for years to come. To truly grasp what is at stake, let's break down what is changing, why it's happening, and what it means for families, businesses, and the future of global mobility. For years, Chinese children under the age of 14 applying for a U.S. non-immigrant visa benefited from a relatively streamlined process. Thanks to the interview waiver system, parents could submit their child's application documents by mail, sparing their kids the anxiety of a formal embassy interview. This approach recognized the real-world challenges of traveling with young children: missed school days, work disruptions, and additional travel costs. It also reflected a desire to build a bridge between two economic powerhouses, making it easier for families to pursue tourism, educational opportunities, and business exchanges. But starting June 10th, 2025, that bridge is being dismantled. The U.S. government now requires all non-immigrant visa applicants under 14 years old to attend an in-person interview at a U.S. embassy or consulate in China. At least one parent must be present, though bringing both parents is strongly advised. The paperwork is formidable. Families must produce the child's original birth certificate, the household registration book if applicable, current and former passports for both parents, and their marriage certificate when relevant. Only originals are accepted. Copies will not suffice. This is not just more paperwork. It is a signal of a broader shift in how America approaches border security, visitor screening, and international relations. To understand why, we need to look back at the roots of these policy changes. After the tragic events of September 11th, 2001, the United States completely overhauled its visa system. New layers of security were introduced: extensive background checks, biometric data collection, and the rollout of the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System, or CVIS. Every new measure was justified as a means of bolstering national security and preventing abuse of the visa system. David Lee, a senior U.S. diplomat at the State Department, puts it plainly: in-person interviews enhance security and ensure the legitimacy of visa applications. His view echoes a global trend. Around the world, countries have tightened their borders in response to concerns about terrorism, cybercrime, and shifting geopolitical winds. From advanced fingerprinting and facial recognition to artificial intelligence-powered profiling, nations are deploying technology to scrutinize travelers more closely than ever before. But there's a real price to pay for these security measures, a price often shouldered by ordinary families. Immigration attorney John Smith, who has guided hundreds of Chinese families through the U.S. visa labyrinth, warns that the new policy introduces more complexity, greater expense, and higher risk. Families are now expected to travel, sometimes for several days, to major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, or Guangzhou. For those living in rural provinces, this is a massive logistical and financial burden, Smith explains. He estimates that travel and accommodation alone can cost families several thousand U.S. dollars, not including lost income from missed work or school days. Obtaining the necessary documents can also be a significant hurdle. China's household registration system, known as hukou, is notoriously complicated. Some families may lack original marriage certificates or have difficulty tracking down old passports. Missing even a single document can result in delays, outright rejections, or the need to reschedule sometimes months later, given the limited availability of appointment slots. For families already anxious about the high-stakes interview, the prospect of a protracted, costly, and uncertain process is daunting. The emotional toll cannot be underestimated. For many children, the thought of a formal interview in a foreign embassy is intimidating. Parents are often worried about language barriers, cultural misunderstandings, and the pressure to get every detail right. Education consultant Maria Chen recommends that families prepare their children thoroughly, practice common questions, walk them through the process, and help them feel comfortable. The more prepared your child is, the better the outcome, she advises. Now, let's consider the broader economic implications. According to travel analyst Jane Doe of Tourism Economics, Chinese travel to the United States could decline by as much as 10% as a direct result of these new rules. Before the pandemic, Chinese visitors were among the world's highest-spending tourists, each contributing thousands of dollars to airlines, hotels, restaurants, and shopping outlets. A 10% reduction could represent billions of dollars in lost revenue for American businesses, many of which are still struggling to recover from years of travel restrictions and economic downturns. The impact extends beyond tourism. U.S. universities and private schools rely heavily on tuition from Chinese students, who make up the largest group of international students in the country. These families often travel for orientations, graduations, or holidays. A more complicated and burdensome visa process could persuade some to rethink their plans, potentially choosing institutions in countries with friendlier policies, such as Canada, Australia, or the United Kingdom. For American schools, this could mean fewer enrollments, reduced campus diversity, and shrinking budgets. Business leaders are raising red flags as well. International companies depend on cross-border teams, regular business trips, and face-to-face meetings to sustain partnerships and close deals. If bringing a child to the U.S. for a short-term assignment becomes too complicated or costly, some companies may decide to relocate operations elsewhere. The ripple effects could be felt across recruitment, employee training, and even investment decisions, potentially shifting the global business landscape. Diplomatic tensions are simmering just beneath the surface. The Chinese government has openly criticized the new policy, urging the U.S. to simplify procedures and reconsider the need for such strict requirements. Lin Wei, spokesperson for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, has warned that China may introduce reciprocal policies for American travelers. Imagine a scenario where U.S. businesspeople, students, or tourists are met with similar obstacles: longer wait times, exhaustive documentation requirements, and higher costs. Such a cycle of escalating restrictions could stifle the flow of people, ideas, and capital between two of the world's largest economies. To put this in historical perspective, the relationship between the United States and China has always been complex, oscillating between periods of engagement and rivalry. During the Cold War, strict visa controls on both sides were the norm. In the 1990s and early 2000s, as economic ties deepened, both countries moved toward more open policies, encouraging the exchange of students, tourists, and business people. Now, as global uncertainties mount, the pendulum is swinging back toward caution, control, and heightened security. But is there a more balanced path forward? Technology could hold the key. Some experts envision a future where secure virtual interviews, artificial intelligence-driven document verification, and remote biometric screening replace the need for in-person visits. Countries like Estonia and Singapore are already pioneering digital identity systems that allow for remote authentication, significantly reducing the need for physical appointments. If the United States and China can harness these innovations, they could find a way to balance security with efficiency, making travel safer and more accessible at the same time. Let's not underestimate the adaptability and resourcefulness of Chinese families. In recent months, agencies specializing in visa preparation have reported a surge in demand. Families are seeking expert guidance, legal support, and even psychological counseling to help their children navigate embassy interviews. Some are coordinating group trips to embassies in major cities, pooling resources to reduce costs and share information. Others are eyeing alternative destinations for travel, education, or business, redirecting their investments toward countries with more predictable visa procedures. For families preparing for the new process, here are some practical strategies. First, start early. Schedule your interviews several months in advance, as appointment slots fill up rapidly, especially before peak travel periods like summer holidays or major festivals. For families living in remote areas, this may mean planning logistical details, such as train or plane tickets, hotel reservations, and time off from work or school. Second, gather all required original documents as soon as possible. If any document is missing or out of date, contact local authorities immediately to request replacements. It can take several weeks or even months to obtain a new household registration book or marriage certificate, so do not procrastinate. Third, prepare rigorously for the interview. Practice answering typical questions about your travel plans, the purpose of your visit, and your family's ties to China. Help your child understand the process and rehearse responses to common inquiries. The goal is to demonstrate that your visit is legitimate and that you fully intend to return home when your trip concludes. Fourth, Consider seeking professional assistance. Education consultants, travel agencies, and immigration lawyers can offer invaluable advice, from document preparation to interview coaching. Maria Chen, with years of experience assisting families, notes, being proactive is your best defense. The more prepared you are, the smoother your experience will be. For viewers outside China, this situation offers a valuable lesson. Visa policies are frequently reciprocal, and changes in one country can prompt similar reactions elsewhere. If you are an American family planning a trip to China, an executive managing cross-border teams, or a university recruiter, you should pay close attention to these developments. Prepare for possible delays, increased costs, and more complex documentation requirements in the coming months and years. Let's take a closer look at how these changes might play out for a typical family. The Wangs, living in Chengdu, want to bring their 10-year-old daughter to New York to visit relatives and see the sights. Under the old system, they could have submitted her application by mail, saving substantial time and money. Now, they must travel to Beijing, book a hotel, collect an array of original documents, and prepare their daughter for a formal interview. If any paperwork is missing or incomplete, they may have to return weeks later, potentially missing important family events or incurring extra costs. Multiply this scenario by tens of thousands of families, and the scale of the impact becomes evident. Now let's zoom out and consider the macroeconomic effects. Economic analyst Robert Jones from the Peterson Institute estimates that the new policy could reduce U.S. tourism revenue by several billion dollars every year. Airlines may see fewer bookings on trans-Pacific routes, hotels could experience lower occupancy rates, and luxury retailers might lose some of their most lucrative customers. Universities and private schools could face declining enrollments, leading to budget cuts, staff layoffs, or even the closure of smaller programs. The downstream effects on local economies, from taxi drivers and tour operators to restaurant workers and museum guides, could be significant. The consequences are not just financial. There is a profound cultural cost as well. People-to-people exchanges, school partnerships, sister city programs, family reunions may become less frequent and more difficult to organize. Over time, this could erode the foundation of mutual understanding and trust that international cooperation depends on. As travel becomes more complex and restricted, the world risks growing more fragmented, with young people missing out on formative cross-cultural experiences that broaden horizons and foster empathy. There are also long-term strategic consequences to consider. If Chinese students and families feel unwelcome in the United States, they may choose to study, invest, or build businesses elsewhere. In recent years, countries like Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom have already seen significant increases in Chinese student enrollment, in part because their visa processes are perceived as more accessible and predictable. The competition to attract global talent is fierce, and nations that streamline their systems may gain a decisive edge in drawing the next generation of innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders. How might this play out in the years to come? Some policymakers and technology experts are advocating for the adoption of advanced screening tools to improve both efficiency and security. Artificial intelligence could help analyze documents and flag inconsistencies, while remote biometric tools could make it possible to verify an applicant's identity from the comfort of their own home. Pilot programs in countries like Estonia have demonstrated that digital identity systems can work, but privacy and data protection remain major concerns. Policymakers will need to strike a careful balance between openness and protection, a challenge that will define the next decade of global mobility. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, both the U.S. and Chinese governments are exploring options to modernize their visa systems. Diplomatic negotiations are ongoing, with officials discussing ideas such as virtual interviews, streamlined documentation, and even special programs for frequent travelers, students, or business leaders. The stakes could not be higher. Whoever leads the way in secure, efficient global mobility may set the standard for the 21st century. So what should you do if you are affected by these changes? First, stay informed. Monitor updates from official embassy websites, reputable news outlets, and professional advisors. Second, advocate for smart, balanced policies by sharing your experiences and supporting organizations that promote international education, business, and cultural exchange. Third, remain flexible and open to alternatives, be it different destinations, virtual exchanges, or new methods of cross-border connection. If you are a business leader, start planning for possible disruptions now. Build contingencies into your project timelines, budget for additional travel expenses, and explore remote collaboration platforms. For educators, keep your students and their families up to date about evolving requirements, and provide as much support as possible, whether through information sessions, counseling, or practical assistance. For families, remember, preparation is your best ally. While the process may be more complicated and expensive, determined planning and persistence can still open the doors to travel, study, or business in the United States. Seek help when needed, and do not lose sight of your goals. Let's conclude with a broader reflection. Our world is more interconnected than at any time in history, but it is also more cautious and divided. Policies like these remind us that international exchange is both precious and fragile. Maintaining the delicate balance between security and openness will require innovation, empathy, and sustained effort from governments, businesses, and individuals alike. If this video has helped you understand the stakes, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. How will these changes affect your plans? What solutions do you think could make the process smoother and fairer for everyone involved? Stay tuned for more updates and in-depth explorations of global economics and technology right here. Together,